of push buttons lists all the companies in the East Delta Commerce Center. Nothing happens after an off-key melody starts playing after you ring the doorbell.
Kuno, please stop calling here.
She thinks you're the gremlin child. What would he say to this?
Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I thought you were... But the doorbell is broken, and the bookstore shouldn't even be on the list anymore, so I can't help you. Please don't call here again.
A single beep indicates you ring the door. What an ominous name for a hair salon. Doesn't bode well for anyone's hair. All you hear is static, but no one answers the call. You ring the doorbell, but nothing happens. You wait for a minute or two, but it looks like someone has... You can almost hear them breathe.
Yes, hello. This is Tricentennial Electric.
She sounds almost antique, as if her voice was being played off an old wax cylinder. A receiver must not be working properly. The lieutenant exchanges.
It's you. Oh my God.
Who cares that you don't remember her? No, something's wrong here. Are you sure she's talking to you?
Michelle, just please. Why did you even call? I don't understand. You've been gone for months. I thought you didn't care. Ever since I came to live here,
A spot of static over...
It's so nice to be able to finally meet again.
She sounds like she's about to cry. She doesn't answer. Silence. The only thing you can hear now is static and waves washing ashore. Another seagull passes by. It's getting cold standing here, staring.
I don't know what happened either. We should probably stop playing with this thing.
You press the number sign on the keypad that terminates the call. 12 name cards on the call box read, silence, silence. No one answers. Silence. This button looks new.
This button looks new. It's probably not connected yet.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow as you tap on the gauge, the indicator.
There's no use pressing the heat button. It won't start with...
Translation. We're not going anywhere right now. Alternative translation. Don't even think you can drive my MC.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a moment.
10-4, come in, officer. Over. 10-4, I hear you. I don't have the authority to grant your request, but...
What does he want now?
He's asking for my...
Is he fucking kid?
I don't think he...
Don't give that asshole anything. He's just gonna drink it all.
Alright, that's a negative on the additional funds, sir. Over. He says it's important to...
He isn't getting a red cent.
Request denied, sir. Over. Anything else, sir? Over. Okay.
Wait. Before you say anything stupid, think it through. You're going to be looking at a straitjacket if you tell everyone you lost your memory. Be
10-4, sir, I'm not hearing your question. Well, that's...
Does he actually want something or is he helping?
He asked if he ever told me...
For God's sake, cut this shit out! Tell him to stop wasting time and be a goddamn policeman for a change.
Sir, Satellite Officer Vicmar says... So, was there anything else?
You probably don't want to continue on this road.
Come again, sir, I didn't get that. 10-9, over.
What? What is it?
He wants to verify the...
But of course, it says Dick Mullen, High General of...
Tell him to stop wasting time.
What do you need, sir? Over. Understood, sir. Over. Roger that. 10-10.
Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those times are gone. And so are those people. Why did you come here? Why are you still here? And where's the dealer? You have to get back to work. That's all you have now. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 50. Just a second. Yes. Hello? Oh, great. What else do you need, Detective?
You hear the call
Anything else like 57?
in the cabin.
Do you have Kuno's cruising his bitch on the town, and the bitch comes back?
Get the fuck out of here, fat ass!
The pants are totally okay. Don't listen to her.
Kuno
There, he's still.
Yes? Me? I don't see how my life is pertinent. That's a fair point. All right, for the good of the investigation, what do you want to know? That's correct.
You feel a slight urge to put the lieutenant down for this. but you can't quite muster enough testosterone.
I guess you don't need glasses, then. That's because I'm half zeolite, or quarter. It's a part of the world, officer. A geopolitical entity, and a...
Seo is a protectionist, isolationist, pan-Isolari state west of the Insulindian Isola. Actually, it's quite interesting. Some would...
I can see you're disappointed. You are right to be. I don't speak a word of zeolite. No.
The lieutenant nods.
What do you mean? I have no idea what you're...
The lieutenant's conceptualization skills must be rather rudimentary. The lieutenant is a police officer of the old school, but this isn't an old school case.
So what? That makes you the new school? God, for real detective work, nothing beats.
The lieutenant produces his small blue notebook. We all have our different medium.
Good.
An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material eaten. An inconspicuous pile. It's nothing. The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste. It's just nothing. What's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from the apple peels. It's shiny. They look badly damaged, but you can still make out forms and notes, written in a man's hand.
It is. Look. The plastic has the RCM street grid on it. You've even got an autopsy form in there. If you don't mind me asking, how did this get in the trash? Officer, this is an official piece of paperwork. It probably contains notes on numerous ongoing investigations, and could even list under...
Easier said than done. How could this pathetic cabbage of copy paper... Challenge accepted. You should be on the lookout for stylistic elements that elevate this cabbage to heights unforeseeable. choice. Soggy carton and some kind of food sludge welcome you.
Officer, this is sensitive information. You need to take this seriously. It would also not hurt to start taking notes on the case. Now, tell me what your eagle eyes see. Or are we finished?
The container sounds a muffled gong. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic board, barely held together by a metal clip. This sad display is made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. There's a piece of toilet paper, or is it cleaning tissue? No, it's toilet paper, desperately sticking to the back of the blue plastic clipboard. It's a metaphor. Thank you, waterlogged ledger, for spelling it. Below the pathetics, terror. Do not look into its blue heart. It's just toilet paper sticking to the back of the plastic clipboard. You can take it off if you want. If you want it to be kitchen tissue, it can be. It's not though. It's toilet paper. Still wet, the toilet paper, kitchen tissue, peels off the plastic easily. All you have to do is shake it off your finger and voila, the ledger now looks marginally better. An aluminium block runs the width of the board, biting down on the paperwork. Its crocodile teeth are the only thing keeping the paper. The surface is interrupted by a silvery sticker. It's rectangular, spark, looks like an official mark. made to be low visible. It is similar to the RCM watermark on your blazer the lieutenant mentioned. Didn't he say something about the headlights of his motor carriage? That you can read these...
What? Yes, halogen watermark used for... It depends. Aside from an anti-counterfeiting stamp,
Maybe yours will have how many cases you've solved. How many years you've been on the force, he's thinking. It'll have that.
Any capable light with the right wavelength will do. Yes, RCM vehicles have headlights tuned especially to reveal halogen watermark.
This means you can read the watermarks if you just turn the lights on.
Okay.
While a bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your hand. It's a sorry sight. It's the ledger you found. An aluminium block. The surface looks like it is similar.
What? Yes, okay.
While a bunch of... An aluminium. The surface looks like it is similar.
What? Yes.
This means you can read the...
Okay.
While a bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard. They're not exactly white. They're yellowed in patches by sunlight and alcohol and covered in dent. Once in a while, there's a red stamp that exclaims, "Case files commit to paper." The case files themselves are plenty. You count work, strife, poverty, the Jamrock Quarter. These are handwritten logs of investigations dating back to January 51, this year. The exact number is hard to estimate due to missing pages and an odd naming convention. It's the middle of March. You have attempted 2 cases a week on average.
Huh? 2 complex cases to undertake is a lot, yes. You really have to push yourself. I would not suggest it, lest you start making mistakes. Two? That's a lot. I didn't mean to say you are making mistakes, by the way. That was presumptuous of me. It's okay. We all make mistakes.
Like a fan of gills, the checkered papers dry in your hand. The handwriting is extremely dense. Yes, it appears you employ a, shall we say, robust yet a title, one might say even. One that draws inspiration from snoop fiction and vespertine. Yes, all caps. One is called The Next World Mural. Another, The Square Bullet. Others appear more light-hearted. The guy's on a couch in an unexpected location. It's going to take an effort to piece these case files together.
You mean the alphanumeric? Officer, precinct, time of arrival at the scene? Oh, you mean the titular? Yes, well, so do I. In our defense, almost everyone in the RCM. It's a holdover from the early days of the RCM, right after the revolution, when the organization had little idea how to do things. Again, in your defense, I seem to have named one, the man with the hole in his head. That was a real person. His death was real. I pray his loved ones never find out. Rail spiked through the head. He died. It was a workplace accident.
There is, for precisely one more. 15 pages near the end remain untapped. Once all the tasks are accomplished, the case is complete. Sadly, the ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead pencil. The ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead pencil. It will do, barely. But the lieutenant looks at his blue notebook. 2 fat, shiny pens hang from the binder. He is not really saying anything, just standing there, looking at them.
Know that I give this to you with resentment.
The tasks you've completed flow out of the blue oblong pen in a brash freehand, uncannily similar to the rest of the letters. Inspect the victim's body. Interview the cafeteria manager. It's not exactly poetry, but poetry would be out of place. A satisfying slash sounds across the paper. You're done, it seems to say. Things to be done and things already done. The composition of reality. This is...
No, actually. Any ideas? Great. That's great. That's actually what I was thinking too. The Hanged Man. Good, strong. I'm going to start calling it the Hanged Man. It's good we sorted this out.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. They're a little further from your nose now. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB 41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, why yes, your precinct number, every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials. That is improbable. It takes about half an hour to piece one together using the system you've devised. Where do you want to start? Murder. Tum 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 at the hookah parlor was a case originally beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when him and his partner J.M. Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo. Mills didn't get off the pot, not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more. No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, no, it's soot and water vapor. Yeah, really lame. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open. No one enters, no one exits. Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin, movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just... See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply. And you don't... Smoking hookah. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden paper. In the back, you see thin, translucent copier paper. Some neon yellow, some bright red. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station calls. And the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is... You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work. A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000, but they appear pleasantly vague. These are quite sinister in tone. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct, all in a print so small, a dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form. Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its blue. The blue heart. Don't look into it. Something rattles inside, ever so lightly, and something small inside, light, made of paper or card, permeables. It's not hidden per se. The compartment is made for permeable materials. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. With your hands, U4-sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board. The acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base surround, like the bits they put into public piss bowls, probably called Fermi Discrete or Axle, which you're not sure you smelled this one yet. Or there he still is. Look. A colourful piece of plastic is dangling from his carabiner. It's a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you. That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Oh, excuse me. Do you have something better to do than lust for sweet syrupy rum and lemonade? With a twist of lemon? Maybe lime? Maybe who cares? Just rum? A thin man is smoking below, and as you step in, he nods to... Okay, it's definitely not his name. Whatever you do, please don't call him Garancy Quebec. Please, it's not funny. The man puts his cup down and replies something, his left hand drawing arcs in the air. He smiles and bangs his ladle against it. It's almost like music, especially with the... You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple. You immediately feel drawn to the color. Blue is for mystery. The cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. The stainless steel old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers. 40, it leads to a side building, adjacent to this one. The old building next to this, half ruined. Whatever is behind it must be.
You do? It's a door in the back of the kitchen. Why do you care where it leads? Yes. I suppose it's worth seeing if we can get in.
It's hardly a side investigation. You already have a name for it.
Gart is the person to ask about this, the cafeteria manager.
Can I? Yes. Have you got it? A lot. Like what? I was really enjoying talking about the... What thing? Yes, not the whole damn union, thank God. Just the nastiest and... They come here in the evenings. Dumb, unruly types. Think they're big shit. But they're good customers. They place big orders.
We should find out who this Lord faction is, occupying the booth. Loudness means talkative. We don't. We have to wait. They'll show up sooner or later. Men get hungry. Even...
You glance at the clock on the wall behind the manager. Huh.
Good question.
They're probably getting drunk or protesting something somewhere. Or laying low after the, Lynch. They probably fucking killed that guy or something, and that's why.
I have a feeling we'll make their acquaintance sooner or later.
Oh yes, that door, sure. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a door. No, I don't have a key. I don't know how to get there. And I don't care either. It's not like I've been wondering about it for... Or some boring storage space with a bunch of old junk.
He's attempting to maintain an air of indifference. It's absolutely not convincing.
Fine, okay, a little. But my job doesn't leave me time for wondering about one locked door. So I haven't opened it. I have cleaned the whole place 100 times over, though. After the animals. And I haven't found a... What?
By the way, you should come back to this thing-based... You see a heavy... You see, the door does not.
Hello again, sweetie. Oh, sweetie, I heard your conversation with the manager about your financial troubles. When do you get your next paycheck?
You must be joking. Although our pay...
It's not easy to assert your right to a decent living wage when you don't have a strong union behind you.
Interesting idea. This Evra sounds powerful. Maybe you can wrangle some coins out.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
All right. Ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
The dashboard lights up with orange glow, like a leopard waking from its sleep. Yawning, the lights unfold with a little click, casting
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done.
As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid.
There she is. Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. The Iraq brazenly darts past you and disappears amongst the stopped lorries. In the distance, a child somewhere shrieks. A woman...
Ah, Martinez. Let me see. Right here. No, it does not.
There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows. The first row has 18 dots. Not bad for what? You don't even know what it means yet. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border. You count 216 perforations. Considering that nice, large number, a wave of pride washes over you. The last row has 3 perforations. That's it.
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record.
Alpha male officers who are proud of their numbers often do.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth? Yes, that does seem quite likely. This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means Wow, more than 200. It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there. For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock quarter, it's rather... There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually... But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for. Yes. Everyone has their own method of coping. Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies. Why not gardening? You've already got the gloves.
It's meant in earnest. Please don't mistake it for a jab. The lieutenant nods.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint. So cool. From a distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers... What are you, deaf? They're perfect. like rock star politician and drug addict teacher. Embrace the super... Yeah, you have. You're a big dick cop. Dick Mullen. Salam Rocky Bayi. Badass on the edge disco cop. Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy. Yeah, you know. Beneath it, this is the beginning of your legend. With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you, and you along with it. You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. No, these tracks are not There are several footprints in the mud. Wow, still not doing it. You're bad at this.
Active decay. It's okay to throw up, officer.
He's about to blow!
There is...
Yes? Excuse me? You have a distinctive...
A moment passes. The lieutenant glances at the sports watch on his wrist.
Yes?
No response. He's having trouble processing it, believing it even.
Have you tried?
There is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice.
Not a fan.
The RCM deploys.
Try work. The case at hand. It can work miracles. Fine. We should get through this day first. Off hours begin at 9 p.m. If you're still having trouble then, I can give you an orientation. Focus on other people.
A moment passes. No response. He's having trouble.
Have you tried?
There is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice, like he's tired of hearing.
Really? You look fine to me. This psychodrama is...
Clearly, he prefers to think you're malingering.
Then you should consider seeking medical attention. You can use the radio in my kinema to call your station's Lazareth. Was there anything else you... Yes? What do you want to know? You mean like a brief? There's no... 3 days ago, during that time, the victim had been stripped of his belongings. Okay then. Good. What about me? Good.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out.
This is Precinct 57. How many? It will take just a...
Her voice is...
Gottlieb,
He's carelessly chewing on a piece of hard candy.
Oh, it's you. Yes, there's no end to the misfortunes fate has seen fit to rain upon me. Basking in your glory, yeah, practically drowning in it. Please, tell me what your complaint is before I am completely submerged. With all the damage you've been dealing yourself with drugs and alcohol, I'm not surprised. What else? I'm not a brain doctor. Look on the bright.
It's hard to say if he doesn't believe you or doesn't.
That's because you're hung over. Even the radio waves coming from your direction smell like liquor. Do you feel like that's the tiny vessels pulsating from high blood pressure, stupid officer? You might be sustaining permanent damage to your vision as we speak. Not much I can do about it. It's a busy kind. It's not life-threatening, just... And you survived it. Congrats. Even better. Anything else? I wouldn't worry about that. Officers your age have coronary trouble. What? You want me to do blood work for you again? Tell you just how bad things really are across the board? You want another rundown of everything collapsing inside your body? You want the real, honest-to-God truth? Stop drinking, eat magnesium and vitamin D. Our station is not a retirement home. And no, I don't want to hear a political commentary on the topic. In fact, I got work.
It's not fucking cryo-acta-latte. It's super...
With all the damage, what else?
It's hard to say if he doesn't believe you or...
Yes, there's no end to the... Who? You are? You lost your human visage a while back.
Anything else I can help you? 57, over and out.
In the cabin, you see... a lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy grot, the windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. A large metal pendant hangs from the back end of the cabin as a small perch to sleep. Large, a book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large...
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
Right,
All I want...
The tear machines, your bottles clunk into the machine. A color, the bottles wink at you in the light. The smoke there, in that dark green glass. All in vain. The great flowing river of warmth.
And look, babe. The minion of law is also a racist. But his racism is basic.
So unadvanced.
The basic race education he received in high school has led him to think his phylum are basic racist. I take pity on you. You clearly want to enter the harbor bad. Like a little boy who wants to go on the potty. I can press the button for very well. You may enter.
Finally. Let's go.
On second glance, someone has forgotten to...
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork.
Let's see what's inside, he thinks. The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown hundreds of documents containing logistical data. 2 kinds of transactions and the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines... Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, it appears to be a to-do list written in large, remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in... Remember, Leo, all items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled. The drawer slides. An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side. railing here. This is your cloak. You can feel it.
Yes, it does bear DRCM insignia, and we are the only detective. The service cloak issued to you by your station?
As your fingers touch the tarpaulin, it almost feels like the cloak wants to deliver. I will shield you from the elements and give my life for yours. Wine bottles and cigarette butts on the ground. Well, they went through 6 bottles of potent Pilsner, 3 bottles.
Well, yes, I think we can say with relative confidence that it was you. Yes, this scene isn't exactly...
This is the night watchman's booth. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young.
Why did you take that picture of René? You're really interested in that old soldier. Not sure I understand your fascination, but sure, as long as it doesn't take up a whole lot of time.
The front of this quarterly journal features because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. Because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table. The magazine is divided into several sections. International Comrade. As you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée, but like the structures of capitalist. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on...
What do you expect? It was laying around the office.
You flip back to the front of the magazine, the table of content. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that it evokes a sense of recognition and fellowship among those privileged enough to... As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief cue. The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming if you don't follow it, you only ever hear about the ludicrous sponsorships and obscene death toll. You think you're settling in. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then, so, all of it, basically. Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines. There's no way Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms. Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Thus, the so-called tourney becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent race, and that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tourney is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capital.
I can safely say the thought had never crossed my mind, Detective. I'm sure if I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of this section, you also skip over an article about heavy. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You flip back to the front of the magazine. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Cape Side apartments of illegally. It's true. You flip back to the front. Several knobs, 2 buttons marked Allumer on, éteindre off. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet thump, the harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest again, moving this container, of course.
I can't see how that was worth the records, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was sad.
Before you stands a cargo container, just one of many in the yacht.
You do? Because I don't. There are a million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? There may very well be, but we are not here to look for that. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to talk to the Union, right?
produces a hot. You attempt to turn the handle to no of. To your left, the lieutenant.
Container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container, put the logos on.
The lyrics to this container song are. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the Vanishing Peninsula of.
Container, used to be Wild Pines. Everard, he looks after everyone. Huh? Well, hey there. I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks. Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to...
Everything is so pretty and red. You and Leo look like brothers as you glance around with similar childlike wonder.
Sure is, mister.
I hate to break this bonding moment, but the red containers mean they are replacing...
Oh, I'm just... Sure, mister. Most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for...
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the... But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling them to take some time off. No, I don't think they killed anyone. Let's better talk about...
He probably doesn't know anything anyway. Who in there?
Oh yes, born and raised in Arish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about... People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and what...
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me... I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man, when actually Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down. But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here and I'm always busy keeping... Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river.
He respects that word.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood. Knows everybody and gets along with it. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have... Dr. Lemaitre said so. And she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years, she has.
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Yes, this place really seems to run...
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot. Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust. Oh, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done. Yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have
Told you.
Oh, you want Mr. Everard then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived there. Guys like Mr. Everard and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Oh, Mr. Everard is usually in his office, of course. But you gotta be quick if you want to see it. Bye-bye now.
The 15th Indo tribe. Because there was. The 15th Indo tribe was comprised of 8 kids from Forberg and North Jamrock, running from wild dogs in the valley, hiding scents under rocks, and stealing clothes off clotheslines, and sometimes even the copper wiring of phone lines. You may have been one of them. This must be a childhood memory. The 15th Indo tribe was your Indo tribe, set to rule in Cylinder. The rest of the kids are dead now. Car accidents and drug overdoses. Only you remain. Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up.
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equal.
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it. Filter it out.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, How can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol City?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Guy. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or...
No.
Don't mention it. But also don't forget it. I'm just...
He's not.
Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
Are you all right, Harry? You seem anxious. Don't be. Everything... It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's...
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's help with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are gonna shoot themselves with it.
Mr. Dubois, you...
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here?
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of...
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm...
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining...
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him. It is about time to stop embarrassing yourself. Questions will help you regain some of your lost dignity.
My dear Harry, there are literally millions of containers in this harbour. I couldn't possibly remember what's in all of them. Harry, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Time is a precious resource, and I don't have enough of it to count...
Smooth talking. Maybe that's the way to go about opening the container. You should at least try convincing it.
Oh, that's very nice. I have one thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporation situation. Everyone is just pals here.